Hi, it's Ashley from Sweet Dreams Bake Shop, and for the first time, I'm trying out a microwave cake recipe. The one I'm using today is from Emma's Goodies. If you haven't seen her channel, I'll leave it down in the description box below. She has amazing quick recipes utilizing very few ingredients, and this one just happens to utilize the microwave. This isn't a collab or anything, I just really admire her videos and her ability to come up with quick recipes. In her video, her cake ends up looking just like a classic chocolate cake, but I wanted to see if I could maybe try and make a carved cake out of that recipe. So I'm using a bowl that I know can go in the microwave. This one is from IKEA, and I'm just really making sure to line it with the parchment paper because I want this to come out super easily. I've never really made a microwaved cake before except for those mug cakes, and those tend to really stick in the cup. I don't own a dress cake pan, and you could make this by making individual cakes and then carving it, but I think this saves you a lot of ingredients. So if you want a really tall dress, make sure that you use a taller bowl. After 5.5 minutes, I was surprised that this was cooked through and through. I was a little bit nervous because I wasn't sure if it would cook with that type of depth, but it did, and pretty evenly, I must say. The smell was actually quite divine and the taste was quite good, but I will say that the texture is very different than that of an oven, which is to be expected because it was in the microwave. I was actually really surprised at the density of this cake, but it actually works in our favor because for carved cakes, you do want it to be a little bit more solid. If it's too light and fluffy, it makes it really challenging to carve. Today, I'm using my Italian meringue buttercream, and I do coat this 2 times. But first, what I'm doing is I'm going to be using some Rice Krispie squares to kind of mold that body portion. You could do this all with fondant, but then you would have to let it dry for a little bit. So I'm just going to skip all of that drying time and use Rice Krispies. I will say that I always use Rice Krispies that are pre-made rather than making it myself. I just find it's the exact right texture that I need, and I don't have to take that extra step. I inserted this lollipop stick to make sure that everything stays together nicely, but I also used one more additional stick so that it goes right through the whole cake so it's fully supported. Depending on what you want to do, you could actually skip this little carving portion. I just want to kind of cut down on materials, but you could easily kind of shape this with buttercream instead or shape it with fondant so that it's more dress-like. I apologize for this short out of focus segment. It passes by fairly quickly, but basically I'm just crumb coating this whole thing, and because I'm using Italian meringue buttercream, it's not adhering as well to this. I believe it's because the outside of the cake kind of has more of a moist texture, whereas when you put it into an oven, it has that nice crisp texture on the outside. So you'll notice that it doesn't have as good of coverage, but the way to fix that, put it in the fridge, let it chill, and then cover it again. I want to make this look like a mannequin, so I'm just putting on a little bit of white fondant on the top. You really don't have to be too picky about what this looks like because you are going to cover majority of it with the dress. My buttercream is still slightly wet, so if you don't make a lot of carved cakes and cover a lot of cakes with fondant, I highly suggest that you make sure that buttercream is fully solidified. For this bodice portion, I find it easiest just to kind of wrap a rectangle all the way around, and then I carve out all of the detailing afterwards. An X-Acto knife or a really sharp knife is a must whenever you're working on carved cakes. Now I'm going to start the paneling all along the dress, and all I'm doing is I'm taking a large rectangle piece and then I'm kind of folding it like an accordion, and then I'm just attaching it directly to there. And don't worry about the way that it looks where it's connected to the bodice. We're going to cover that up with more detail later. Because we want this to look like fabric, really play around with all of those different folds and let it fall naturally. I'm using my clothing steamer to get all of that excess cornstarch off, and it just adds a really nice saturation to the fondant color. Use whatever detailing you would like to cover up that seam that connects the bodice and the skirt portion. I'm using this kind of leaf shape, but honestly, so many things will be able to work for this. Pearls or a beaded border, whatever your heart desires. For a little bit of glamour, I'm adding on these silver edible pearls, but it really looked beautiful plain as well. For some reason, I have multiple bottles of the same color in different sizes, so I'm going to be using those all up today. I really wanted to make this dress really cool toned, so I'm using the silver and the blue mixed together actually inside of my airbrush machine, and then I'm just directing it all towards those folds. I felt like it needed something, so I'm adding on a necklace. And there you go, a dress cake that required no special cake pan or mold, just your regular bowl. I'm also super surprised that I was able to make this cake utilizing a microwave and no oven. It's definitely the first recipe that I've come across that you can actually unmold after microwaving. I wanted to give you a general guide of how I would price this cake, but I did price it according to me using my own regular oven recipe. Let me know down in the comments below, have you ever sold a cake that you made out of the microwave? I'm really curious to know if anybody has. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you can be part of the Sweetie fam. Right now, I'm uploading daily, so make sure you hit that notification bell so you know when I upload. Also, be sure to comment, request, or ask a question. I love hearing from you guys. Bye.